My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice cold. We down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is on up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is on up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up.
What up, Night Nation? It's your boy Roger, and it's another episode of the Knighted Ones podcast, number 106, in fact. So thank you for joining us. So welcome to everyone who's joined us this week. We'll talk about that a little bit later in listener love. But for this week, we got a lot to talk about. We told you last week and the past several weeks that this team was capable, but we're just not getting over the hump. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. As a reminder, this is the only podcast that features a former UCF national champion, a former UCF radio host, an ESPN analyst, a hoops player, infamous rapper, our resident influencer, and IG star shooting the breeze, talking UCF sports. Remember to like us, follow us on YouTube, IG, and check out the 70-plus teams and conferences on the College Huddle and the Big 12 Huddle. This week, we're going to recap the Cincy game. We're going to talk about West Virginia and why it's so important. We're going to ask the question, did Terry cut off the NIL too soon? Who's going to be the QB this week? We'll check in on bowl eligibility. We'll talk about the keys to the game. We'll give a shout out to our listeners, talk about other UCF news, and obviously finish out the day with some good news from our other UCF sports. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the crew to the stage. Starting off, we'll start with Trey Neal. What's up, bro?
Gentlemen, what's up? How you guys doing?
Gentlemen of one right now because we haven't brought anybody else to the stage. I will not ask you to do the hair flip, but I'm glad you're back to the stage. It'll be interesting to hear your insights this week on the defenses, specifically the DBs. We were missing Williams this week, and he actually had a thumb surgery. We found out he had a thumb surgery that didn't take, so he had to go back and have it done again. He was expected this week, and they had to put a pin in, so he's going to be out for at least a couple more weeks. Next to the stage, someone you guys all know, the only man that you want in Publix grabbing things off the top shelf, Ben Stout. Welcome back to the show.
What's up? What's up? Good to be back with you guys.
Man, it's been
a while.
Too long. Way too long.
Been too long.
All right, let me see that hair flip. Let's go. There it is.
Right. Not quite a Allen hair flip. That's for sure.
No. But as a reminder, folks, once we hit 1,000 followers, listen, we've got 17,000 of you viewing in between about 5,200 different people. Help us get to 1,000 because Allen did promise to cut his hair if we get to 1,000 followers. Now, he
actually promised that?
He did promise that on air. I have it on the show. So, and I've been reminding him every week. So help us get there because we do. I kind of want to cut his hair, to be honest with you. I'll be the one snipping. All right. Let's go ahead and get straight into our text talk. Welcome everybody to the show. As a reminder, you can interact with us and we encourage you to be part of the show through the chat and we'll bring you up on the screen. So, let me go ahead and start because Ben looks like he's furiously looking for his. Let's start with Trey. Trey, do you have your text talk for this week?
I do. Don't want to talk too much badly about the game, but my text talk, let me get it, is from AP this week. The gold pants are horrible. Listen, time to get rid of these pants. I cannot stand the pants. I don't think anybody can. I don't even think when we were players, we liked this color gold of the like. Nobody's liked it. And all the entire time I've been there, and when I ask the guys up to now, they don't like it. I don't know why we keep choosing it. I mean, obviously it's a part of our combination, but I'm just like, is there not any other like vetting of like what color gold we can have on our uniform?
I don't know. My problem with it all is it never matches. None of the golds ever match. You use it on the helmet, use the same type of gold on the pants. The last time we got it right, I think, was in the 80s or 90s when we had the gold and black Steelers looking ones.
That's like, yeah, exactly.
That was literally the last time we got that right. And then we had the abomination in 2013.
Yeah,
remember
South,
those?
Yeah, ooh.
Those were terrible. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm hoping we get rid of those.
Gotta get rid of gold, man. We've shown so many different like awesome color combinations. It's like I can deal with the helmets a little bit, but I just can't. I can't deal with it when it's like you said, the helmet and the pants are different, or like the helmet and the jersey. I'm like, it just I can't.
I like the traditional style helmet. It goes back to those 2013 teams.
Yeah.
I just don't like the gold pants that go along with it. And it just, when it's all gold like that, it just really points it out.
Yeah.
So, Ben, other than the gold pants, what was your text talk for this?
I'll just it's short and sweet. We were talking about I guess QBs. I was at the ballpark at this point in the I think it was just after the game had ended. But Trey saying this is pretty simple and it sums up. Says I don't think the QB is the difference on this team. It's the O-line and untimely penalties, in particular untimely penalties. I mean, I had kind of a little bit of a rant to our text today. Just, I actually was more of a rave really for Cam Fancher. I mean, I just think I think he showed just how how tough he is in that game. He's playing the cards that he's dealt basically. I mean, I think we all agree that, TJ is the more talented of the group of quarterbacks. But man, I can't see how you watch that performance by Cam Fancher and just not just at least appreciate him as a leader for sure. Like, I mean, he's a super, super tough guy. I mean, it's kind of disrespectful to say he was trying his best out there, because that's not really what I mean. It's just I was just impressed by his toughness overall, his like kind of grit, and but ultimately, I think this season so far, anyways, has come down to those two things that Trey mentioned in the text talk, is the untimely penalties. It seems like every time we got going in this game, we would get or even every time we got a big play, it would be a penalty, a holding, or whatever. Especially in the third quarter. I mean, third quarter, I felt like we were moving the ball pretty well and didn't score a single. I don't think we scored a single point, maybe a field goal, just because every time we had a big play, we would get a penalty, holding call, whatever. And then just the O-line just hasn't been good enough. I mean, we've had a really, really tough year, a lot of circumstances around the O-line for sure. But at the end of the day, they just haven't been good enough to compete in the Big 12. And that's been an issue for a little while. And hopefully it's something that we can at least try to figure out or improve upon a little bit this year, but one that we certainly need to improve upon for years to come.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, right? So you talked a little bit about the quarterback situation and Cam Fancher. You talked a little bit about the offensive line and how offensive it was relative to penalties. There's a lot to unpack there. Connor Miller, if you ever think that John Walker doesn't make a difference, look at how our center was snapping the ball versus Dante Corleone, right? Or Corleone. He is one of the best defensive tackles in the country. It's why they play a 3-down lineman front, and why he really takes up 2 linemen. Now, as far as the O-line was concerned, again, it's the same song and dance we're talking about every week with this O-line. Pass pro, they did fairly well. Running game, not so much. The big thing for me is they were still getting pressure with 3 down linemen, right? So they played a stack defense. We talked about that last week on what they were going to play, but I was surprised. We had 4 or 5 guys in there. They didn't blitz a whole lot in the second half. They were getting pressure with 3 down linemen, and they were ahead. So they were comfortable playing and keeping everything in front of them. But when it comes to the lineman, Miller, I mean, I can't tell you how many low snaps there were. There was a fumble that would have been picked up as well. So from that perspective, I was really happy to see what Cam Fancher was doing. Now, Trey and I had a little bit of an argument going on during the game, right? So we were going back and forth. He was yelling at a cloud, and I was yelling at a different cloud, and there were definitely sparks there. So, Trey, now that you've had a chance to kind of look at this again from the offensive perspective, right? We're talking about Cam Fancher. We're talking about his ability to run around. He did more often than not on passing plays, had a lot of time. And he, part of it was, I'm sure the receivers weren't getting open all of the time because, especially against that type of defense where you dropped everybody else but the 3 down linemen. So that's going to allow you to keep some protection and keep everything in front of you. But at the same time, there were times where there were a lot of times actually where he missed a wide receiver that was open or a running back that was out in the flat or something else. As much time as he had, and he did scan the field. I watched his head. He was actually looking across the field. It just felt like he was too late in recognizing when a play was there to be able to take advantage of it. He offset some of that by running, but again, they were dropping 3. So he should have had plenty of space. And there were times where he didn't take advantage of that either and kept looking downfield. So, from a defender's perspective, what were you seeing out of Cam Fancher that you liked? What were the opportunities that you had? I felt like a lot of the time, if TJ was back there with the same amount of time, he would have found somebody faster, or he was also pretty good at dumping it out for a wheel route or something like that, which I didn't see out of Cam Fancher. So I think that had we put those two together, and Ben, you said this at the top, right? Like if we had the choice between the two, we think that TJ is the more productive and talented quarterback. But what did you see as a defender from Cam Fancher that you liked and you didn't like?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like Cincinnati's good, especially their defense. Like you said, it starts with DeLeon up front. The fact that you can just have 3 guys and get pressure, and then you can have 3 guys and stop the run consistently. Like not the ones where Cam would scramble and get yards, just like our base run package. They were stifling it pretty well just out of light boxes. Props to them. That's what kind of gave us a lot of issues, and that's where they were just like, oh, they can't really run the ball. Let's just drop 8 every time and make Cam make perfect throws. Which, again, he's a solid quarterback, solid college quarterback. So most of the elite guys, upper tier guys, are going to shred. If you drop 8 and they're going to shred you, and that's kind of what you're talking about with TJ. He's shown that in the past he can make some of these tight window throws. I don't necessarily know if it would have happened with Cincy because, again, they were really good, and I don't think our receivers were separating like they had previously.
I don't know. I mean, there was that one pass over the top that he short-armed it where he had to come back for it.
And
there was several
like that. Your receivers have to help you. I think I said that. Like, it was underthrown. We all admit. And Cam's arm isn't, it's not
TJ's for sure.
Yeah, it's not TJ. It's not that. But on some of those plays when the ball's underthrown, like the experience, and this is where I kind of chalk up, like we're just a young team. Whether we're, redshirt sophomores, juniors, they've been here 2-3 years. They don't have a lot of game experience. And a lot of our playmakers on offense are freshmen, sophomores. Those plays, you just come back, jump up. I mean, this is what Traquan Smith his UCF career was. If you underthrow the ball, you turn into a basketball player, Ben, and you go get the rebound. And I'm telling you, 99% of the time, if you jump first, the DB is going to panic, and that's where you get those pass interferences on underthrown passes.
Well, there were a couple of pass interferences that should have been called that didn't get called.
Yeah, the one he underthrew.
One early on in the fourth quarter that was.
Yeah, that one was bad. That one was bad.
That was terrible.
Yeah. But that one he underthrew, Roger. Like the receiver has to help him in the sense of, I made a bad throw, but just bail me out by getting the PI. And he's trying to still catch it without jumping, and they're not going to call it. That's just the refs are taught not to call that. But yeah, I mean, like Cam made good throws. But they were wiped out by penalties, and Ben talked about it. Like some of the good throws he made, like over the middle throws on a rope, it was a holding penalty, or it was a false start or illegal formation because the guy's not on the ball.
Dude, the illegal formation.
Ripped, I forgot who it was. He ripped whoever it was because it's like, this is like, and this is what I was talking, like, these are pre-snap penalties. Referencing, the great Coach O'Leary. These are the penalties that kill you. Like the ones you can control. It's hard to control. Oh, you go make a tackle and you hit him in the face mask. That's football, or you get a holding. Like as much as we hate holding, that happens. But like not lining up right, false starts, like those things are what kills you. It kills the drive, which in that turn, when you're playing these really good teams, killing a drive can kill the momentum, which kills the game. Like that's how competitive of a conference we're in. We're not in the AAC where we can, it's fine. Like, no, these teams are playoff caliber teams. Like these are best of the best type of teams we're playing every week now.
Margins are smaller, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and in those small margins, that's where you win and lose. And I referenced 2016 because it feels the exact same. Really good defense. Offense, we see the talent. I mean, we talk about the talent. Wade Charles, extremely talented. I forget who number 7. He's extremely talented. Miles Montgomery. Like, we have a lot of talented players. Marcus Burke, and then Taven Jackson. All these guys are talented, but these small mistakes is what ends up costing you, and we lost 20-11. And it didn't feel like Cincy was just amazing. Like they're really good, but it didn't feel.
No, we should have beat them. We should have beat them. Same way with Kansas. We did the same thing against Kansas again. Yeah. Say K-State again, right? Like I said, I've been saying this every single week, right? This team is capable of winning these games. The defense puts them in that position. This feels very much to me like Houston last year.
Yeah.
The same scores, a really, really good defense. And by the way, for those of you, and I'll say it again, right? I heard a lot of negativity about our defensive coordinator, right? And look how this defense has played extremely well. And remember, there was outside of the defensive line, right? Outside of the defensive line, most of these guys are new. Now the defensive back,
we still lost a stud player on our defensive line too. So I mean, he's done a great job. Alex Grinch has done an amazing job with this defense.
What I don't understand is our defensive backs. Like Antoine Jackson was terrible. He's been terrible. He was a 4-star. He was expected to play really, really well. He was highly recruited, went to ECU his freshman year to follow his girlfriend, came here, and he just plays so undisciplined. He got burned on that one. That was bad.
Lazy in his coverage.
That was bad. Yeah. So
we made that one guy Caldwell look like a super
NFL player.
Yeah, I mean he's got an NFL frame, that's for sure. He definitely made him look every bit of it.
Yeah, like I didn't hear anything like, "Oh, this guy is just a monster on the outside." It was
I did call him out, but remember, this was the other guy from Lindenwood that transferred, right? So we got one, and they got one from Lindenwood, and it looks like Caldwell is playing a little bit better, but to your point, right? Again, dumb mistakes lose games. And we talk about it. Typically it's 2 to 3 plays that you lose. Now we protected the football well. We were 7 of 18 on third downs. We were 50% on fourth downs, right? We had 25 first downs versus Cincinnati's 14. We put up 413 yards versus their 306. So we put out more yards. Passing, we outgained them passing 222 yards to 191. Now, difference being 4.5 versus 9.1 per attempt. We threw the ball 49 times this game, which is absolutely crazy. But at the same time, we also possessed the ball 39 minutes out of 60. So almost 40 minutes out of 60.
That's 2/3 of the game.
That's 2/3 of the game. And that's where that third quarter drive really, really hurt us. It was something like a 9-minute drive. Like it was 9 minutes in the third quarter like 15, 16 plays. We get down to the red zone and then we get backed up with penalties again, right? But again, rushing yards, almost 200 yards rushing versus 115. If you
and a lot of it was Cam scrambling too. Like our run game as just base runs was not good, but like Cam's scrambling was good. So that like helped us.
I mean, we still averaged over 4 yards per carry with the rest of the running
backs. And I was a little bit what I saw in the running game, which had to be a little frustrating, is, and I think it was more scheme wise. I really do, especially in the second half, they did have a good defensive game plan for our offensive setup. I mean, because what I saw in the second half is our offensive line was actually creating like holes that looked like you could drive a Mack truck through. I mean, big holes. And then all of a sudden, as soon as our running back would get to that hole, it was like somebody was coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's scheme. You nailed it on the head.
That's what I mean, Roger. I mean, it was keeping everything in front of them, as I was saying. Like, I felt like they did have a really good defensive game plan for what we had set up, and it was shown in that instance where it was almost like they were allowing some of those openings to happen so we could just run right through them, and they'd hit a brick wall with a linebacker. I mean, they did a really good job of tackling in space or even keeping us contained in that way, where it seemed like we were about to break one open and we just couldn't.
Yeah, it's like a funnel style defense. Like, they're giving the illusion like, hey, this hole is wide open, like, get it. But they want you to funnel into that hole, and then they just shed and make the tackle. Like, it's like, and I saw the exact same thing. It's like, oh, that hole's right there. The moment like Miles or Stacey Gage, who I thought played pretty well, the moment they like accelerated, they hit the hole just disappeared. And at that time, It's too late to really react and, I got to adjust again. Like, that's what they wanted. It's funnel style. So it's really sound.
It's the scheme, right? So you only have 3 down linemen, right? So you've got 3 down linemen. Anytime we ran to outside of the gap, the A gap or B gap, right? If we ran off tackle or we ran off to the left or right, it was open because they only had 3 down linemen, right? But that leaves more linebackers back there to plug and their speed, right, to be able to get to it by the time the play develops. Because remember, our guys, when they're running, they're not up at the line of scrimmage. They're about 5 to 10 yards back behind the ball. They get the ball. That allows the blocks to let them get ahead of steam, right, while the blocks develop. By the time the blocks develop, those linebackers on the other side have enough time to recognize the play, come down and fill the gap. And they don't have to guess as much on which gap they need to fill. Like, the linebacker's job, right, is to figure out, especially middle linebacker. You hear us talk about scraping the defense, right? I played middle linebacker and or scraping the gaps. What that basically means is the linebacker comes down and he's following the play to try to figure out which gap that running back is going to go through, right? And then fills that hole. When you have a scheme like this, you have more linebackers and DBs back there that can come down, and depending on what you're playing on out of that base defense, if you're bringing a DB down or a nickel down or whatever it is that you're doing, it gives them enough time to get out to come down as the play develops to go ahead and fill that gap, and it limits it. When we got to the second half, especially, they didn't care. They were already ahead enough that they just wanted to make sure that they kept everything in front of them. Right. And that's what they did. And we still moved the ball. We were able to move the ball in this defense. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great defense. I mean, we still put over 413 yards of offense on the board. If I told you we had darn near 200 yards rushing and 400 yards of offense, you would think that we would win this game.
But see, that's where I always say, like, the great Bill Belichick, and even though he's terrible right now, the way he's always coached defense, this is kind of what Cincy was they're going to let you win in between the 20s. Once you get in the red zone, they're shutting the door on everything then, because they're like, there's no more space to do it. We're going to get to play tighter coverage and make perfect throws. And that's why you look at our red zone stats, Roger, they're horrible. We marched 9 minutes. Then for, penalties help, but when you can't move the ball in the 20 and score, which this is what we've had an issue with all season. Once we get into the red zone,
last season too.
Yeah, we can't score, and that's what they're like. You know what?
We moved the ball. Well, it was for a different reason last year, though, right? So last year we had big plays that popped off, right? That was our whole offense. We'd get chunk yardage with plays.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you shorten the field, you don't have the ability to get that because you got more defenders covering less space, right? So now this year it's different. We just don't have the line. I mean,
we don't. That's the truth.
That's the problem.
That's the truth.
That's 100%.
You've got to move guys.
What I like though, and this is, we were talking about adjustments. What I liked this week, and I don't know how many of you picked this up, but we actually had a backup offensive tackle that we replaced a tight end with on power running plays.
Fix the line,
right. Yeah. So Scott recognizes the same thing we do about the offensive line, and he is trying to make adjustments to make up for the fact that our tight ends aren't getting pushed and our own linemen aren't. So we're basically getting an extra offensive lineman out there on these power plays or these short yardage plays, right? I think it's smart. I think he did a good job doing that. That was an adjustment, but we are making up in the red zone. We are making up for an offensive line that isn't up to the task and being able to run the ball. And when you're within the 20-yard line in the red zone, we talked about this last week, Trey, it shortens the field. And when it shortens the field, that means you've got to get that pass out of there quickly. You play a zone defense that's compressed, right? And so you have less windows because there's more bodies in the throwing lanes.
There's only so many. There's no more deep shots you can run, and there's only so many route concepts with 20 yards that you can run as an offense. So what you either have to do, either my guy's just better than your guy, which over the years it was Traquan Smith, Rennell, Speedy Hall, Shad Perriman, Marlon Williams, Gabe Davis. We had that luxury. Even Javon Baker at some points. We've had that luxury. Right now, we're figuring out who is that. You just have to make a play in this situation. Or if you can't do that, which that's fine, you've got to have an O-line that can move guys, and you can create your own yards, create your own offense in the red zone. And right now, we don't have either, which is why our struggles are what they are. The field condenses, the zones get tighter. So the only way to beat it is either your quarterback, which we've alluded to. Neither one of them are, amazing. They have to make high-level throws, which they haven't shown to do that in this situation yet. Or you just have to have better guys and better offensive linemen. And we don't have any of it. So
we don't have the wide receivers to make up for mediocre quarterbacks. And I don't think TJ is mediocre. I think he's above average as far as a quarterback is concerned. I don't think he's had enough snaps, but we don't have the wide receivers to make up for an offensive line and a quarterback and the volatility in the quarterback room right now.
We definitely don't. And our wide receivers have been, and this is a word I used in our text talk, like it's just our wide receivers have been like really inconsistent. Like they've shown flashes, which we get excited about, but like the inconsistency is just there this year. I mean, it's just we're nobody knows who our like go-to receiver is because we don't have a go-to receiver, and there'll be flashes of brilliance during the games, and we're like, wow, okay, that guy's really talented, and then all of a sudden that same person will miss a block or drop a pass or run a route wrong or whatever it may be, miscommunication with the quarterback. And it's just, we don't have reliability at that position. It was something that before the season started that was a big question mark, and it still is a question mark halfway through the season, essentially. So we definitely have talent, but in a lot of positions on offense, it's just coming together and doing that consistently. We just don't really have it. And you were saying in between the 20s, Trey, but I mean, really, this game seemed to be, especially in the second half, seemed to be played, kind of in between the 30s. It was like a lot of the times. I say this about a lot of good offensive college football teams, that they can really like demoralize a defense when you might stop them on first down. They might get 3 yards. They might get 2 more yards on second down. But then like every single time it seems like that team always converts. They get 8 yards on third down or whatever it may be. Like you think that you have them, and then all of a sudden,
move the chains.
Once again, you don't.
Yep.
And we've been that type of offense in the past, but I almost felt like in this game, it was frustrating in the opposite way, where it would, we would get a decent gain, 4 yards, 5 yards on first down. Maybe our second down would be stopped a little bit. And then in the second half, especially when we were basically in that 4-down territory where we were going to go for it because of the place we were at on the field in between the 30 and 40 yard line of our opponent. And the fact that we needed to, be more aggressive in the second half because of the score, it's just like we couldn't get third and fourth down. Like we couldn't convert. And when we did convert, it'd be a penalty. And it was just like, it would just kind of snowballed on top of each other, where I didn't see any give up in the team. And so that's a difference from years prior. And we've talked about that all season, is that, I do still feel pretty strong about the culture that, the foundation of culture that's being laid here. And I don't think anybody's necessarily questioning that, but certainly it was a tough one to, get excited about when you're just kind of constantly stalling out at about that 35-yard line.
Yeah. Well, Ben, to your point though, this offense, even with the third downs that got called back, which was 3 of them, right? They 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
They were 39% conversion rate for third down. It would have been well over 40. It would have been like 43, 44% on third down. So we were converting the third downs. And anytime you get over 32 to 34%, if you get close, 40 is really the magic number. If you get to 40% on third downs, then you're usually going to win that game. That's provided that you don't have.
Statistically, this was a weird game, though, too. It was just a strange game.
All of them have been. We've outgained.
Yeah, you're right. They've been weird.
We've outgained everyone. We just haven't been able to score. We've won every category that counts.
That's how you win. Points. At the end of the day,
that's all that matters, right? How many
points do you score, not how many yards? Which, again, I'm not mad at it, because, again, I would much rather this offense than just relying on chunk plays all the time. I would much rather have an offense that has a semblance of, we can build off of this, not just, I hope RJ Harvey strikes for a 90-yard wheel route, or we find a play leak. Like, I would much rather that. And we fix, how can we turn these no points or field goals, which our field goal kicking has been great this year, by the way. Shout out to our kicker. Turn these field goals into touchdowns, because that changes everything. That changes how other teams play you. That changes how the dynamic of the game. Like, towards the end of the game, like you said, Cincinnati's like, you guys are down 17 points. Take all the 5-yard, 6-yard passes in front of you. We're just going to tackle. Take the 5-10 yard scramble. We're just going to tackle. The clock's going to keep running. You don't have time to do this. 3 more possessions.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about that too, because in the fourth quarter, I was getting a little frustrated because the pace that this team was going at was almost like they gave up. And by that, I mean, we weren't running any hurry up. We weren't running to the boundary to get out of bounds. We weren't. There was no 2-minute drill with 6 minutes left or 8. I think we got the ball with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and there was no sense of urgency whatsoever. Like none. 0. We were still huddling. We were getting up to the line and getting the ball out within 5 or 6 minutes. Like, I don't understand, especially after we got under 4 minutes, why there was no sense of urgency there. I mean, it was 20-11 is what it ended up at, right? And if you look at it, and I want to say this too, when we're talking about the penalties, that 70-yard drive that we had ended up being a net 40-yard drive because we had 30 yards in penalties on one drive. One, right? But at the end of the day, too, why don't we have this sense of urgency going, running a 2-minute drill, running a 4-minute offense, Like, I'm not seeing that. You know, we still continued to run our offense. It was almost like we were putting practice reps in, which was good because it gets the team reps. But then at the end of the day, like, why are we not speeding it up when we're behind 17-3? We got 9 minutes left.
No idea. I like that part. I couldn't answer you. Maybe he thought they would score or a chunk play would happen faster, so he'd like he didn't feel that urgency. But just based off of the flow of the game, it was like you need to pick up the urgency. That's just how I felt about it. So I agree with you there. But overall,
with the area that we were stalling out a bunch on the field, and we just mentioned how good our kicker has been this year. Why didn't we go for a few field goals in the third quarter there? I guess we were just trying to. I understand that if you get stopped at the 30-yard line, it's still a 40+ yard field goal. I get that, but like it just feels like maybe we should have taken the shot at some points at that point. Early in the third quarter, maybe, just to see if we can get some points on the board and get a little more momentum. I don't know.
Well, Ben, to answer your question on in the third quarter specifically, because we did that 9-minute drive, right?
Right.
That 9-minute drive, we were within field goal range. And then we had three straight penalties that pushed us out of field goal range.
Yeah.
So
and then we started that one drive in the fourth quarter where we got pushed back twice, and we were like all of a sudden on the like our own 4-yard line, and then Fancher has a play that goes all the way to the almost a first down. It was crazy. So.
Well, and the first down we went, I think it was a 25 or 30-yard play that got called back. I think that was the one that got called back for illegal motion or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Just
again,
untimely penalties. Like they had 5 more penalty yards than we did, but we felt every bit.
But we also had 10 penalties where they only had 7, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, I will say this, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, and I don't want to be that guy, but this officiating again this week was absolutely terrible. Yeah, it really was. I mean, there were two.
To be honest, officiating is terrible it's terrible every week.
Dude, I watched the other games though. Like even that one that they called on us, where that guy was like he barely touched him, and they bailed him out, and that's what got them going. Because
I hate those penalties. The bailout penalty, like 3rd and 16. I could understand if it was a blatant pass interference. He barely that wasn't gonna change the outcome of that play. Like that's where I get mad about those kind of plays.
Well, I mean,
we had a throw down field where a guy just on Cincinnati straight up just smacked the arm of our wide receiver where the ball was still 5 yards away from him, and they just swallowed the whistle. It's just insane, man.
Well, I mean, think about it this way too. The thing that's crazy to me is Brett Yormark was at that game.
Yeah.
Number 2, even the announcers were saying, "Oh, that was early. That was early. That was early." They said 4 straight plays that they were early, right? So again, that's 4 PIs. And that one PI that they called on us that was BS took them from a 3rd and long within the 10-yard line because we pinned them with a punt.
Yeah.
And then we had them back there, and then it opened it up, and then all of a sudden they scored that long touchdown, right? Yeah. So again, officiating does matter because it does impact games. The good news about all of this, and I'll say this is good news, is the defense, despite the offense sputtering and all the things we've been talking about the offense, this defense has kept us in every single one of these games. And Sorsby, and you said this last week, Trey, one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the entire country offensively. This offense was number 16 in the entire country, and we held this offense to 20 points. And really, if it wasn't for the one broken play, it really wouldn't have even been 20 points.
It was probably
191 yards, most of which were in the first half.
Now think about that. The number 16 offense in the country, we held them to 306 yards total.
Yeah, that was passing.
And mind you, being number 16 in the country in college, you're easily putting up 35, 37 a game, 400, 500 yards a game.
Their average was 41.
Yeah, that's comfortably. So this is a elite level offense production wise.
It wasn't though because of who they played. And I said this last week, this offense wasn't good, but wasn't as good as what their
numbers are.
points. Right. They weren't that good. I told them.
For us to hold them to essentially 13, barring the busts, did play.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good for what that offense is. Like, that offense is better than a 13-point offense.
Well, Sorsby was completely out of sorts, and he was getting he was being talked up nationally everywhere. And this defense controlled Sorsby. And I told you guys last week, and you guys kind of made fun of me. I told you this defense would be good because he's a passing quarterback. He's a pocket passer. And our defensive line is set up to stop them. And if he's not a dynamic runner, that means that allows our defense to also stop the run game, which we did. And they had 2 good running backs that were 100-yard backs, and we stopped both of them, held them to 115 yards total. So, again, we've got a really, really good defense. The offense has had a different quarterback every single freaking week. I mean, seriously. And the offensive line is porous. That's been the difference in these games. So the question is now, okay, if you look at the PFF scores and everything like that, everybody's talking about Cam did a great job or whatever. Dude was 48 point something on the PFF. He ran the ball.
He played great. I think
he ran the ball really well. And I'm not saying you guys did, but like if you look at everywhere else, everybody's. And I think what that is everybody was expecting him to be trash.
That's what it is. Expectation sets everything.
Yeah. So did he do enough to keep us in games? Yeah. Could he have won this game? Yeah, if it wasn't for the penalties. But everybody asking, because Scott was asked in the press conference this week, who's quarterback this week? He said we have a full roster. And I believe that. I think they gave TJ an extra week off, considering what happened after the last game, to heal up. And I think that TJ will be our quarterback this week. This was the second worst offensive performance. K-State was the first, but the second worst offensive performance that we had. Dummercant, which was a Florida transfer, he led the receivers 34 snaps, 73.7. On the overall, our right tackles, Cushman and Meadows. Cushman had 81 snaps, 73.7. Connor Meadows, 71.9. Connor Meadows was the guy also that we were bringing in for the run blocking as well to get a little extra push. And then, pretty much everybody after that, Dwayne Thomas Jr. was 63.1. Rubelt, who got hurt in this game, and he was out, so he had to be replaced. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the injury report on Thursday to see whether he's coming back. He was 62.2, so that's okay. Stacey Gage was 61. And then everybody else was in the 50s, which is below average. It's below average offensively. So Kylan Fox only had 1 snap this week because Dylan Wade came back. So the good news is we got Dylan Wade back. He was our top flight, our first choice as far as tight end was concerned. With TJ, he seems to have something going with TJ. He didn't get as many looks with Fancher. And
he still led our team in receptions. Dylan Wade did.
Yes, he did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 receptions, 55 yards, 11.
So what does that tell you about the wide receivers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does. I mean, you're right about that. I mean, he had 5 receptions, 55 yards, and DJ Black had 4 for 32. Marcus Burke had 3 for 33. So yeah.
And as far as pass blocking was concerned for this week, we were talking about the blocking, right? Every single person who blocked, including running back Stacey Gage, right, was above a 65.4. Every single one except for our right tackle, Connor Meadows, who had 51.9, and our center, Carter Miller, who had 47.8. Carter Miller was absolutely atrocious this game, both in the blocking, run blocking, and pass blocking. Run blocking, way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole team was way worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Our rushing attack was horrible.
And by the way,
a lot of rushing yards, but the base runs were horrible. It's just Cam, a lot of those plays like Cam running the spring. Yeah. So they don't count that in the run factor. So, like, I was like, we can't run the football. And like you just said about our receivers, it's not like we have amazing receivers, and it's not like we had an amazing quarterback. So that's like all of our yards are when Cincinnati's just like, take it. We don't care. Wait till
it really was. It was like, that one we'll throw that away.
Take it.
You're like patting us on the head.
Yeah. But that's the part, like, this is the part of, like, when you just look at the numbers, it tells one story, but as we watch and then you dive deeper into the numbers, the context of it, it makes a lot of sense. Like, we're not scoring when we get our chance to score, and we can move the ball as much as we want down the field because they're letting us do it pretty much.
So
defense, you saw that in the Kansas State game where you would like it seemed like the adjustments were just actually, no, excuse me. That was the game just that we just had last week. Kansas game, excuse me, not Kansas State. Kansas game where it seemed like, we were doing well running the ball in the first half, and then they just made I don't want to call it simple adjustments, but essentially made the adjustments to just stop us completely in the second half.
They loaded the box.
Yeah, we're not.
They loaded the box. They had numbers, and we kept running through the A gap. Like, that was on Frost. That second half of that game was on Frost.
I wasn't on the show last week, but I definitely would have been. You guys heard? You guys saw me on the text talk that game. That's for sure.
Yeah. So talking about the defense overall for PFF, right? So think about this defensively, right? So these are the PFF grades by game. Jacksonville State 69.2, North Carolina A&T 90.1, North Carolina 80.8. It's a P4 team, although they're in disarray, and rumors were swirling that Belichick was out this week. He was shopping himself out. At Kansas State, 67.1 versus Kansas, 69.4. At Cincinnati, 67.5. Now, what does that mean? That means you've got a higher end. You don't have an average defense. You've got a good defense against P4 competition every single week. Is what that tells you. You've got a really, really good defense, right? Again, when it comes to the defensive backs, Jaden Bellamy led with 79.8. He's a really, really good quarterback. DJ Bell had a rough game. He came back last week. He's been good. He's been our lockdown all season long. 43.3. He had 17, but he only had 17 snaps. I think he's still working himself back in from injury. And he got called on that one pass interference that was absolutely complete BS. But by and large, this team played fairly well. Our linebacking core, again, Cole Kozlowski, pretty good. Our ends doing what they needed to. John Walker, for all of you guys that are saying, where's John Walker? Again, he's eating up 2 blocks every single time, which opens up
Tristan Hill all over again.
Yeah.
And that opens up the door for the other guys, right? And so, again, we're really missing our Georgia Tech transfer that's out for the season with the torn pec, but 68.2 is really, really good defensively for a tackle. So, again, folks, everybody who says, I don't see John Walker's name, that's because he's plugging up the middle and he's plugging up 2 gaps and he's getting double teamed, right? If you watch the offensive line, they're double teaming him when he's in the game, and they're shifting somebody else over to plug the other gaps. So again, he makes a difference. You may not see him on the stat sheet all the time, but he makes a huge difference on what we're doing. So pause. I didn't even catch myself. Plug in the holes. All right. Let's go ahead and
double team and plug in the holes.
Double teaming and plugging the holes. Okay. So questions out of this game. Mitch asked, and he was on here earlier, and he asked, and we'll talk about it in the listener love. But he asked, why we weren't winning these games. The reality of it is execution. We aren't consistently executing. Period. We're moving the ball. We've got a good defense. We're not scoring points. We're leading every single category. We're not turning the ball over, right? Although, so ball security is okay. So that's why we're losing those games. It's simple mistakes. This team is close. I do think it hurts that we don't consistently have the same quarterback every week. I think that hurts than more people.
1,000%.
Yeah, I think that hurts more than people are really recognizing. So, all right, I think we answered this question, but I'm going to ask it again. This week against West Virginia, you have Fancher or Jackson. Who are you playing?
If they're both available?
Yeah, they are both available.
Yeah, well then, I'm hoping that Jackson is fully healthy, and I'd go with Jackson for sure.
Yeah, I think.
But I'll say again that Cam Fancher's a dog, and he deserves a lot of credit. But I'll definitely go with Jackson.
Yeah, I think they go with Jackson too. But I don't think his leash is going to be as long, because like if he even looks like he's hurt, they're going to take him out and put Cam in if they have to. Like him, you know how he kind of get hit a little bit and he kind of rubs his shoulder or he messes with his hand. If they even sense anything, they're going to be like, let's just go to Cam to save him. Even if you just need even a drive, they'll do that.
Yeah, the thing that hurts me with him is I hope he's more recovered. I hope he's more recovered than I think he's probably going to be, because it makes him more one-dimensional to stay in the pocket as opposed to what gave him success last time, since our running game is if he's able to move and run and pick up some yards with his feet, it opens up the running game. Yeah. It opens up the running game and it keeps them out of the box. So,
and that's the difference that makes him a better player than Cam. Because if he's not running, it's like yeah, but we need that running aspect specifically in this offense, because our O-line isn't really moving guys enough to do it.
All right, let's ask the next question again. We asked it last week. Bowl eligible or not, Trey?
I think we will. I am struggling trying to figure out where I think we'll beat West Virginia this week.
West Virginia and OSU are our two best options so far. Then we have to steal one from somebody.
Yeah, and I think that's possible because I feel like we've lost the games. And we've lost 3 games that one of them we should have won. Like, I don't know which of the 3. One of them we've been close enough to. Kansas,
we absolutely should have won.
Yeah, but like this Cincinnati game didn't feel like it was unwinnable. Even going into it, I was like, this is a really good team.
If we had an offense with a pulse, it would have been. Yeah. It would have been. That was a winnable game.
If we were 6-0, I would be more surprised if we were 6-0 than where we're at right now. Just because, like, it's just amazing that even though we have all these struggles, and not struggles, but we're not lacking execution. We're lacking execution. That these games are still close. Like it amazes me. But I mean, we talk about it. Like, this is the difference between knowing how to win. Like, that's all the difference is. This is the change we had from 2016 to 2017. It wasn't like we drastically changed our personnel. Did they get older? Yeah, they get more experience. Yeah, but we just learned the little things. Like, we made mistakes. I don't want to act like we didn't, but we rarely made these kind of mistakes. Like, game on the line or crunch time penalty, crunch time bad play. It was more.
Well, you can't win games that way. I mean, you just
correct, exactly. That's how you lose them.
I mean, like you guys in 2017 and 2016, 2017, or certainly 2017, like you guys believed if you were in a tight game towards the end of the game, like you guys believed you were going to win, and too many of these creep into the view is when you're on the losing end is you start to those thoughts creep in the opposite way. We talked about that last year with the basketball team. Lost a lot of close games, and once you get into those late game situations, everything's tight and the pressure's on. Do you believe that you can pull it off, or do you believe that here we go again? And so. This is a very critical game this week, obviously for many reasons, but certainly it's to kind of shake off some of those feelings for sure. And to answer your question, I mean, I had us at somewhere. I was debating between 6-6 and 7, optimistically 7-5 before the season started. I had us at 4-2 at this point because I did have us beating Cincinnati. Everything else was predicted right or before the season up until last week. But I also had us beating Houston, and I think that we got to go 2-3 the next 3 weeks. in order to even have a chance at that, because we're not going on the road to Texas Tech, or we're not going on the road to BYU and pulling off that type of upset. This isn't that type of team, and we're gonna I think everybody with has been watching this year can acknowledge that. But could we go on the road and surprise Baylor?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
I
done
think
it last
can.
week, this week against Cincinnati, and are they that much better than Cincinnati? I don't think so.
No, they're not.
I mean, maybe they're probably worse. So
I don't know about worse, but I don't think that they're about the same to me as what Cincinnati is.
it's not outside of the realm. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that we go 2-3.
If we won that game, I wouldn't be like, oh wow, we won. Like,
right, that's what I'm saying. It's not a crazy upset of going 2-3 of
if we go into Lubbock and beat Texas Tech, I would be like, I don't know how we did that.
It would be one of the yeah.
We couldn't do that again if we tried.
No.
Well, so let me put it to you this way. I think it all hinges on whether we have any consistency in offense at all, because we haven't, right? We've had a different quarterback. One's left-handed, one's right-handed.
Yeah.
We've had a different quarterback every single game. Jakuri can't help us because he can't throw to save his life. So he's a one-dimensional quarterback, so we can only use him on certain situations, right? Which we do get him back. So I do think this defense is if you have a good defense, it's going to keep you in any game, every single game. You got a shot, right? The question is what offense shows up on the field that week, and do they get used to losing, or are they going to, everybody keeps saying, oh, this team's not giving up or whatever. Can this offense consistently have a quarterback, and can we consistently, are they healthy enough for them to take advantage of the the traits that make them a successful quarterback? If we have TJ, is he healthy enough to to win games? And I think that's the biggest thing. So let's go ahead and swiv it, since we've been alluding to West Virginia. I'll do a little bit on West Virginia. So West Virginia is 2-3. We are playing them at 1 p.m. on TNT, which is on HBO, TNT/HBO, which is kind of a kind of moment.
TNT,
yeah.
Oh, you were talking basketball for a second. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, nope, definitely not talking about basketball. We are predicted as by ESPN to be a 72% favorite, and we've kind of been a favorite all year long. West Virginia has also had a problem with quarterbacks this year. Obviously, it's a new system with Rich Rod. They have rotated through 3 different quarterbacks as well. The most recent quarterback that has been playing for them is oh gosh, where did my screen go? Sorry about that, guys.
Marchiol or whatever his name is.
No, Marchiol played. He did not play this last game. Khalil Wilkins played this last game. That's what I meant to say. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's passed for 144 yards. He's got 1 TD and 2 interceptions and a QBR of 44.8. Both of them have been throwing for about 55% completion percentage. This last game, Khalil, he's a guy, he's kind of like JB in the fact that he runs more. He's more of an athletic kind of guy. Like, he's not a pocket passer. But this last game that he played, he was 7 for 15. So 46%. Didn't pass a whole lot, had 81 yards, averaged 5.4, and had 2 interceptions. I don't know who they're going to trot out this week because Marchiol, who was the quarterback before, he was in the 60s, right, early on in the season. But when he got into conference, he was also around 50% passing as well. And he had an injury. So if they do trot out Khalil, I like our chances with our defense against this guy. And I anticipate that turnover streak where we get a fumble or an interception outside of like NCA&T. I think that will change. So the last game they played, though, they played against BYU and they lost 38-24. So it surprises me that they kept up, because early in the season, Their first game, they won 45-3. Then they lost against KU 41-10. Then they lost against Utah 48-14. Utah's a much better team this year. And they played a really good BYU and lost 38-24. So do I think they're better than what they showed? Yes. However, the problem they're going to have is the same problem we have, which is the quarterback situation.
Yeah, scoring is an issue for them.
Well, yeah, scoring, but it's because of the quarterback situation. They've had turnovers, and the guys haven't done well. Chris Vaughn is their leading receiver, 320 yards. Their linebacker actually has the most sacks, believe it or not. His name is Wilson. He's got 3 sacks on the season. Their tackles leader is actually their safety, Perry. He's got 43 tackles for the season. So, when it comes to their defense, they've got good linebackers and they've got good defensive backs, which is not good for us, right? However, their leading rusher this year is Wilkins, who's their QB with 195 rushing yards. So we should be able to shut down their running game. They don't have much of a passing game, which is going to allow us to pressure, which is what we like to do. Their offensive line is not great. So as long as we maintain edges and don't let him and this year, Nigel Kelly, our guy Malachi Lawrence, even Isaiah Nixon, they've done a good job of maintaining the edges and not letting quarterbacks get outside of that. So with that, I expect us to be able to hold them to 3 and outs. They're not a very good offense whatsoever. We have a much better defense. The question is can our running game get established? Because they have some pretty good linebackers, right? And who's going to come out? And here's the thing. If they're loading the box, and I said this before, the weeks before in Kansas State and Kansas, we need to be we've been doing a great job with the short passes, especially with Jackson in there. Get the short passing game going to open up the box, get them out of the box, and get the running game going. We've been able all season long against P4 competition to be able to show consistent drives, right? We've been able to long drives, eating up a lot of clock. We can do that. Most offenses have a problem with that. The problem we have is the longer we go, the higher our chances are that our penalty is going to come up, and that keeps us keeps us from scoring on those drives. So for me, for the keys for the game, maintain the edges with Wilkins, get the short passing game going if they stack the box. If they're not stacking the box, then let's get the running game going with Miles Montgomery or Stacey Gage, because Stacey Gage has been doing really well. I don't know what's going on with Nixon. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but he hasn't been getting a lot of snaps. So that was kind of interesting for me in the last game. I would expect he would have gotten more snaps last game. But again, we were playing from behind, so we were passing a heck of a lot more than we would have normally done anyway. So those are my keys to the game for this West Virginia team. It's a must win. Let's just put it this way. If we're going to go to the bowl, you got to win this game. You got to win this game. You got to win Oklahoma State. And then we got to steal one, whether it's Houston for the space game or anybody else. We got to find one to win.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. This is the biggest must win of the season for sure. I mean, if we don't win this one, we're not making a bowl game. We know that. It's almost certain. And yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on the keys to the game. I mean, I also add that just getting off to a fast start at home is going to be important, I think, in this one. Just kind of getting a little bit of a rhythm early and getting off to a fast start, getting whatever crowd shows up at 1 o'clock on Saturday. I hope it's a big one, but getting that place loud, which is not hard to do in the bounce house. I mean, I think that's all leading up to a great key to the game to just get off to a fast start. I'd like to, kind of get off hot and see what happens from there.
Well, we did last week, right, offensively. So we had the first half, whereas before we kind of caught fire in the second half on other games. Right. We started off really, really well in the first half, petered out in the second half. We kind of did the same thing against Kansas, right?
We certainly did that against Kansas. The third quarter, we had -1 yard or something.
-5 yards, actually.
-5 yards, yeah.
Yeah. So I expect us to do that. So, can the receivers get open? And I mean, Trey, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, this is going to be, we're probably going to say this for the rest of the season. We need to start fast. We have to maintain our leads, and we're going to have to score to win. Like so far through 6 games, defense has shown up. They're not playing perfect, but they're playing really good, and they're playing good enough to win games. It's just, what offense are we going to get? What consistency are we going to get? Can we run the football? Like, we're going to say this the rest of the season. Like, we could take what we just said and for the rest of the week put this
copy and paste.
Yeah, because this is through 6 weeks, this is what we've come to the conclusion with our team. Defense is really good. Offense, talented in positions. Weakness on our O-line. Who's going to show up? How are we going to show up?
Who's going to be our quarterback for that week?
Yeah. And a lot of it isn't
that's
even
been a question literally every Monday press conference, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of it isn't that the quarterbacks are playing bad. It's just they're hurt, they get banged up, something happens. So,
and
all right.
This is going to be a really silly thing for me to say, but like, it's just it'd be fun to see our defense like how much better could they perform if the offense is clicking. Like, it's just like to have the ability to have
in your ears. It's completely playing
right.
A lead is completely different defensively than playing from behind, and even playing in a close game. Like,
and it's really not just. It's not, to me. It's just not just about them playing with a lead. It's like it just having the like feeling of consistency that you're getting from the other unit, that's got to be such a it is interesting to see how much better this defense could be with that type of with a little bit of consistency coming from our offense.
I would argue that the defense, so the last 2 games, the offense has had these long drives and have been able to keep them off the field to give them a breather, whereas with K-State they didn't. So I would say that we had a good enough offense for the defense to have that breather. However,
you got to have the points to go with it, right?
Yeah, you got to have the points to go with it because it allows you to be more aggressive on some of your looks, right?
Right.
So,
or even just like an offense that you can be like, they can score. Like right now, it's like if we don't score over 20 points, we're going to lose. Like that's how the defense is operating. That's very different than, okay, let's go out there and ball, fellas, but just know like the offense can score. Like we can, if we have to get in a shootout, we could get in a shootout if we have to. But
you're
never
thinking less. You're thinking
less.
There's less pressure on you.
You're making let's go make a play. Like that's you can tell our deep, because I don't think our turnovers are where we should be through 6 games. I don't know the numbers just from what I remember.
We don't have very many turnovers.
Yeah, and I think the few
we had was, I mean, we've come close, right? But we've forced, I think, 3 or 4 fumbles we didn't get, right?
Yeah.
And we've had some interceptions. We forced a fumble for Sorsby in this game, and we didn't get that one. We almost did. And we haven't been as aggressive. Our DBs have been hurt as well, so we haven't been as aggressive with our DBs either. Yeah. We've been playing more zone with them and trying to get our defensive line to make the difference and get pressure and disrupt, right? So that's been our theme thus far defensively. So you're not going to get as many turnovers because they're not going to be trying to jump routes if it's them and a single high safety who's committing wherever they're committing.
When we played, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's definitely tied.
But you had an offense where you had the confidence to be able to do that.
Yeah, we literally we were like, listen, if you see we game plan like, okay, these are the plays, we're jumping this route. If we get beat, we get beat. But they're showing 85% of the time they come in this formation. This is the route they're running, and this is where they throw. I'm playing I'm playing the odds, and we all played like that. And like I said, 85-90% of the time we're right. The other 10% of the time, people are cussing us out saying we suck, because we get beat. That's how they're like they can't.
Also, you're like, who cares? Because Mackenzie's about to take.
Correct. Like they're gonna get the ball right now. Yeah, exactly. And they can't play like that because look at that first drive or the second touchdown. It's like you can't get beat on the game. You can't give them touchdowns because it's like we don't know if our offense is going to be able to match that. That's and it sucks.
It's
playing
definitely
defense.
not complimentary football right now.
Yeah, and it sucks playing defense like that.
I mean, it's complimentary it's complimentary in the sense that we're able to keep the defense off of the field, so they're not gassed, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
At least the last 2 games, they haven't been gassed, right? The games before that, a little bit different for Kansas State. But for this game in the last 2, they really haven't been gassed. They just need, and when people say that they don't have the turnovers, it's like, guys, think about the games that we've been playing in, how tight the scores have been. You take less chances when that happens. You You have to keep everything in front of you.
Yeah, I also think that, I mean, not to go back to Cincinnati too much, but it's like it also makes that defensive performance, especially in the second half, kind of more impressive on UCF's standpoint because we did go down early, and we went down early on plays that we were kind of taking chances and got burnt, and so it's like. And we weren't scoring offensively either. So it just kind of makes the situation that they were put in, although they, like you said, Roger, I mean, obviously our offense had the ball a lot. So they were healthy on that standpoint, but it makes that defensive performance, in my opinion, against a pretty good offense that much more impressive. And so
let me put it to you this way. Our offense was able to keep their offense off of the field, which was good. However, our defense held Sorsby to 57%. 57% completion percentage. This was the top 10 quarterback, and I think it was number 2 or number 3 in the Big 12, and a 55.7 QBR.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very impressive performance, and again, I mean, Grinch deserves a lot of credit as well as the players for executing, especially the line.
They held their running backs to 48 yards and 36 yards respectively.
And that's the best. I was talking to Brim, and he's like, those were the best players on the team. Like they were worried about
prior for sure.
Yeah, how are we going to stop these running backs? And we stopped them. Respectively to what they were doing. Like I think the week before, a couple of weeks before, they ran for 250 combined.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like they
had a good running game. They had a good running game. Again, defensively, I'm not so much worried. It's just what the offense is going to do. All right, I'm gonna get off of that topic a little bit, and I do want to ask you this question because this has been a topic of conversation all week in Night Nation. We talked a little bit about NIL last week and its effects on and what the changes were and how we were going to be positioned going forward. But I do want to ask you this. Did Terry pull the ripcord on the Kingdom too soon? And the reason I ask that is this. We brought it in-house, right, in preparation because of everything that was happening with the house. And at the time that it was going through, NIL was more locked down as far as, we still have the $600 limit that has to go through the NCAA, although there have been Power 5 guys in the media, head coaches in the media talking about how there are a lot of teams that aren't adhering to that even now. But did he pull it too fast? And the reason I'm concerned is we built up a lot of equity with the Kingdom. We brought it in-house. We changed the name. Now it sounds like any other random scholarship fund that's out there for UCF. It's like competitive excellence, whatever. Nobody knows what the heck that is. We did not do a good job of migrating those folks over. So the people that were already contributing, because you had a lot of people in the Kingdom that were contributing $50, $100 a month, $200 a month automatically out of direct deposit. Once the Kingdom went away, they sent some emails, but they didn't do a good enough job transitioning them to the new NIL fund, right? Part of it is because Terry's trying to push for facilities, right? And by the way, we got another $1 million anonymous donation today that was announced today for the Hagel Gateway.
They need to donate that $1 million to me anonymously.
Take it.
I think we'd all take it. But so again, another $1 million donation that went towards the facilities, which is great. But I think that the average fan, not the person who's going to drop $1 million that can put it towards a facility, but the person who can give 50, 100, 150, $200 a month, those folks were not handled the right way. And there wasn't enough effort put forth on transitioning them to whatever this new fund is. And there's not any, I don't know how I should say this, any marketing behind it, right? It's not been a focus. The other thing too, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I have the UCF app. It popped up and said, get your Spirit Splash ducks. They've been doing that for previous years where you donate X amount, $25 or whatever, and they send you the duck and the box and whatever. So I got that notification twice on 2 different occasions. Both time I clicked the link, it just went to the main page and there was nothing there for you to be able to do that to get the Spirit Splash duck. So again, my point is it's indicative of the fact from the NIL perspective that we did not do a good enough job. We didn't do the outreach we needed to do. With the branding sucks. Why didn't we bring the branding over? Okay, maybe it's because somebody else owned the name or something like that. Fine. Put it something that sounds like an NIL fund, like every other fund that's out there, instead of like the Competitive Excellence Fund or whatever the heck it's called. Nobody knows what that is. And it feels to me like it was a dropped ball. And now that the NIL's like ever since right before it went through, some of the rules changed. We could have kept the kingdom. So Terry closed it down and announced that he was closing down and started transitioning everything over like 8 months before. Do you guys think that that was a wrong move?
So what exactly what was the NIL kingdom? Like, what was that set up to do? Like, I guess I can't wrap my mind around.
To solicit donations to pay the players through NIL funds.
Like it's like outside of the 20 million. This is like just NIL money.
Yes, exactly. So before we didn't have the 20 million and we were transitioning to the 20 million, or it actually can be a little bit more than that, 20% of whatever your TV contract is, up to, I think, 22 million.
Yeah.
So the NIL in today's environment, with that in place, you can still do now there's different rules, right? Yep. You have to do the $600, anything over $600, you have to show that. But, if you're taking donations or you're taking some of that money into that disbursement for that 22 million, right, out of the TV revenue, it doesn't mean that you can't take funds from that TV revenue and go spend it on facilities and then go solicit the NIL and pull it into that fund, right? If that's what you're trying to do, like a little shell game to get around it, that makes sense. But you got to go out and solicit that. Just call it a different fund, not an NIL fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right? I think it's and you know way more about this than I do, Roger, but I think they said that they could keep the collectives basically as long as the collectives were the original intent of name, image, and likeness. Like they're
paying for services.
They're actually, so if I want Trey to endorse my business, I have to actually I have to give him money in order for him to actually do something to endorse my business.
Oh, Trey will do it for free. What are you talking about? He's using cakes and a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
But that's what I'm saying. So like but what the collectives were prior to the House settlement, and let's be honest, still are, is just pay for play. And so what they decided to do with the House settlement, right, was to bring the pay for play portion essentially in-house, have the schools manage that. But you're right, where potentially, and this is where I don't really know enough about it, is, to answer your question or even try to answer your question, did he kind of like jump the gun on like, hey, we're the choir boys over here. We're the we're following the rules even more so than anybody else. So look at us. We're gonna preemptively create this, and we're gonna preemptively shut down the other thing. And maybe we didn't have to do that. Like, we are known in all NCAA circles outside of a couple of years here and there, but like we are known to especially in this era. I mean, I would say the last 8 years or so, especially. But we've been known as a university that certainly toes the line and plays by the rules, and especially the bigger sports. But maybe this was an attempt to just kind of almost show that too much, and maybe we were a little bit too proactive. If keeping the kingdom would have helped us reach our ultimate goals, then we probably should have kept it. But I agree with you on the main part. As somebody who pays attention to marketing, like, everybody kind of knew what the kingdom was, and nobody really understands, because it does get kind of lost in the wash of what this excellence fund is.
Competitive excellence fund.
Fund. It's like, wait, is that the new kingdom?
Yes.
Even somebody, well, I'm saying even somebody like me who pays a lot of attention to UCF sports, like, could legitimately ask that question. Wait, oh yeah, that's the new kingdom. And it's like, wait, no, like, there shouldn't be a question of that. Like, there shouldn't be a question at all. Like, we should know where these, there should be some branding behind it. And if the management,
shouldn't be another university level, like, naming convention, right? Like every other scholarship thing out there, right? And this is, I don't want to get into the Terry thing tonight, because there's a lot of stuff. There was another big donation that we had hinted at a while back that they screwed up from a legal perspective that was in excess of $10 million. It's now benched because of that. Field naming rights. So we won't get into that yet, right? That may be an off-season conversation, but it's all of these things. You have that, you have shutting the kingdom down too soon. I mean, anybody who's been in any kind of CEO or executive level or business ownership knows that when it comes to legal stuff, whether it's stuff that's coming down the pipeline that, from a regulatory perspective, they always give you, like, I don't know,
give
like
you a grace
36
period.
months, 24 months, whatever, to get it corrected, right? You don't make a decision like that 8 months before even the House settlement was final.
Agreed.
It wasn't even final, let alone from the marketing perspective. And that was the second point I was making, is you call it something that nobody knows what it is, when it's something that you're trying to,
push,
solicit money. And we're not pushing it. And we didn't do a good job on the transition. I didn't get any phone calls from UCF saying, hey, move it over to the Competitive Excellence Fund. I didn't get anything. They sent a couple of emails out, and that was it.
Yeah, and I remember interviews with Terry in the offseason. Again, I know that we don't want to turn this into a Terry show tonight, but, like, I remember interviews with Terry in the offseason or going into the football season where he was almost bragging about how proactive we have been. We're kind of not waiting on the House settlement. We're moving forward with this, this plan, and here it is. And but to your point though, Roger, if our donors aren't getting, they don't have the staff or whatever it may be, the transition team, to make that a smooth one and one that keeps the money flowing, that's a mistake.
Our planning and our communication on every major change has been absolutely atrocious. You look at the fielding, the field naming rights thing, and I'll go into that in a little more detail at another time. You talk about this with the kingdom and the NIL. You talk about the fact that, we had those letters go out where you had season ticket holders who were giving up seats because they were told they were going to lose their season tickets. And even if they were going after the Ticketmaster people, cool, be a little bit better about that instead of threatening everybody that if you list your ticket. I didn't up my basketball tickets this year because I live in Santa Rosa Beach. You guys know that. The listeners know that. If I'm got to be worried about being blackballed from being able to buy UCF basketball tickets, guess what? I'm not going to be a season ticket holder. Right. I'm just going to go buy them off.
I don't really know exactly what happened with that. Like, what was because I'm not a season ticket.
Basically, they said there was a lot of people who buy them and then sell them, right? Just so that they buy them up front.
Or even transfer them,
right? Or transfer them. And they lose money on them anyway a lot of the time, right? But
I did when I was a season ticket holder at football.
Right. So at the end of the day, what ended up happening was they sent this
what's
letter
wrong
out.
with that, I guess? Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, because there's a big movement in college football, and we don't have as big a problem as like Alabama does, right? Because of what people have to pay to be able to give the right to buy a ticket, right? What was ending up happening is a lot of these brokers were going in and buying up these season tickets and then reselling them on Ticketmaster. And guess where UCF resells their extra tickets? Through Ticketmaster, right? So there was this concern that we were losing a ton of money because people were buying our season tickets, then reselling them on Ticketmaster, which didn't allow UCF to do it. And we've had this vaunted wait list for however long, for season tickets. So basically, they sent out communication to everybody that said, essentially, if you sell your tickets online or you transfer your tickets, we know. And if you do that, then we're going to basically
do it often enough, three strikes
you
you're
can
out
be
almost.
blocked.
Yeah.
Or you can be blackballed. In other words, you lose your right to buy those season tickets. Right.
And lose priority point. Like you
lose your priority points and all
everything.
of that other stuff.
Yeah.
It's the whole reason I don't have season tickets for basketball right now.
Right.
I'm just going to buy them off the market when I'm in town. Whereas before, I didn't even care if I used it. I didn't even sell them all the time. I just let them sit. Right. Or transfer them to somebody who was in need, or like donated them. There's places I donated them to. You can do it to military veterans organizations or police organizations. I did, or teachers like Seminole County. I did that through Seminole County a few times because my kids go to Seminole County schools. Right. So he just basically, and there were a bunch of people who got emails saying, hey, you can't buy season tickets anymore. We're refunding you.
Yeah, that's just
you don't do that to a fan base like ours.
Especially a fan base as fickle as our fan base. Like
it's not even as fickle. It's young, right? Yeah. It's young.
Being young, you're fickle.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when, again,
there's some other entertainment options in the
that's the beauty of. I've always said that's the beauty of Orlando, but that's also when you're struggling, whatever it is, can be your Achilles.
Listen,
it's not
we don't have a 55,000 or 60,000 or 100,000 seat stadium right now. We will eventually. Not right now, though, right? So again, it's all of these faux pas adding up. And again, I know I spent 15 minutes on this and I didn't mean to. I just wanted to ask the question about the NIL thing from you guys and your opinion, because it's a topic of conversation for Knight Nation right now. You guys all know what I think about Terry, and we'll go over some more of those issues that we have. And that $10 million donation, because someone on his team wasn't detailed, his lawyers weren't detailed enough on a contract, right, to make the right make sure the right language was in place, right?
Like we said about football.
On a $10 million deal. On a $10 million deal.
I mean, that's a lot of money for anybody, especially a school like us.
Yeah. So again, consistent failures. All right. Off the TMO, or as I like to call them, TEMU AD. Let's go ahead and swiv it yet again. And let's go ahead and go to our pick your poison predictions for week 8 against West Virginia. Again, just to go over last week's results. The score was 20-11 Cincinnati. Allen had 31-20 Cincy, so he was off by 20 points. Ben had 28-24 UCF, so he was off by 21. Trey had 28-24 UCF, so he was off by 21. AP had 34-20 Cincy. He was off by 23. And I didn't write down what mine was for last week, and I wasn't about to go back and look after the show because I was prepping for this one because Allen was out this week. So I apologize. I don't have mine in there.
100 points.
100 points for Roger.
That's what happened. Yep.
He's way behind the 8 ball.
No, I gave my score prediction. I just didn't write it down. There's a difference. That was the 100-0 is not giving it. All right. Let's go ahead and swiv it to this week. This week, we've got West Virginia, the Mountaineers. So Ben went ahead and typed his in here. So we've got his. Ben, you have 31-10 UCF. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think
anything about that?
I think it's I hope that some of the players that are still on this team from last year's team remember that cold and bitter day up in Morgantown last year where Allen and I were we're sharing a blanket to and we're right behind the UCF sideline that had completely given up by about the midway through the second quarter. That was the game that I knew that pretty much knew that Gus Malzahn wasn't going to be here anymore. And I really, looking at the way and everything we talked about kind of on this show, I just feel like they're an offense that has a lot of trouble scoring, and certainly that's kind of rich coming from a UCF fan because we have had some trouble scoring as well. But looking at their previous scores, I think this defense is going to be able to handle them and lock them down, and hopefully that gives a little bit of a shot in the arm with TJ coming back onto the field after having a week off to recover fully. And hopefully we're kind of firing on all cylinders on a beautiful Saturday morning, something we haven't experienced, or not morning, but afternoon, early afternoon. Something we haven't experienced in a single UCF home game yet this season is actually good weather. We should get that on Saturday. So hopefully that those clear skies offer some extra points this week. So 31-10, good guys.
All right. Trey Neal. By the way, last week, if you guys didn't catch it, Cincinnati played the Disney graphic in the stadium after we lost. The one where they made fun of us last year and did the Disney graphic with UCF in there. Yeah. If you like, we don't look at them as a rival, but they certainly look at us as a rival. That's for sure.
I can't wait to beat them again, though. That was not fun.
All right. Trey Neal, what have you got for us this week?
Yeah. So I'm going to go 30-20 UCF. I was kind of feeling what you were feeling, Ben. I was like 10. Wow. If our defense does that, I'll be happy. I'll happy to be wrong about that one, but I think 30-20. I think we're going to be comfortably winning most of the game and probably a backdoor score. The ones that you see if you watch late night ESPN, everybody's always covering those
backdoor cover.
Cover that ruins everybody's parlay.
Like we had last week when we scored that touchdown.
Yeah,
we are favored. 7.5. So you're 7.5. So we still cover in that scenario. So
we'll cover in that.
Well, the crazy thing about that is it's really 4.5, right? Because we get 3 points at home no matter what.
Yeah.
So, okay. So for me, I'm not going to be as aggressive as you guys, but I will say 28-17 UCF. So I'm going to split the difference on what West Virginia is going to score. I don't know what quarterback they're going to trot out.
Me either.
It could be a 31-10. Honestly, we could hold them to 10 points because none of their quarterbacks, the last two quarterbacks that have played for them, neither one of them can throw. And Khalil Wilkins literally threw 2 interceptions, and so he's got 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. He can run, so as long as we can contain, I have confidence in our ability to contain him. And if he's going to be one-dimensional that way, he's going to have a tough afternoon with this UCF defense. So that'll do it for this week. We don't have any of the other guys' predictions yet. For those of you that want to type it into the comments, you can. We'll include those. We haven't had Tim and Mark in here in a while, so Tim and Mark, I'm calling you out for not being on here in a bit to give us your score. Okay, let's go ahead and swiv it to our listener love section this week. So, as always, I'll start this off with saying thank you to everyone who is commenting, liking, subscribing, etc. So we'll start off with someone that you should know, Mitch Gonzalez. He was here on the show a little earlier today. He had to go to bed early for some reason, so he dipped. But he said his first one was, so the question is, why is UCF struggling? We have a good team. I'd say we have a good defensive team. My reply was, thank you for watching and commenting. Red zone is still a problem. Different QBs, the O-line not being able to stop a 3-man rush, penalties, some warranted, some not. That's a lot. So we talked about what we thought about that earlier. I slid that question in. Mitch Gonzalez says, okay, that's awesome. I'd love to hear the shout out. We'll give you to give you guys a bit of me. His ex-father-in-law was Ed Ellis, former strength and conditioning head coach, when basketball or when Blake Bortles was our QB. So
say that again.
His ex-father-in-law
was our strength and conditioning coach. Cool.
Yeah, I remember Coach Ellis. He was there when I was there.
Yeah. So that was his ex-father-in-law. So apparently things didn't go as well on the marriage, but good shout out. And thank you, Mitch, threw some other things in here. Also, frequent contributor Savannah Fan said that was my quote because we talked about one of Savannah Fan's quotes last week, and it ended up on a short. Gus never would have brought us to 10 wins. He was predictable and he was inflexible to adapt in game, and that's where we were talking about would you rather question. But most of all, Gus just didn't seem to have his heart in it. He seems less passionate and invested in UCF than Frost. What do you guys think about that? Do you think Gus was less invested in UCF than Frost?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think Gus was invested early on. I think anybody, once he kind of knew the writing was on the wall. Once we got into that slump, it was like, we're moving on. And I think that's where it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm not merely, I guess, quote unquote invested. But early on, I think he was pretty invested. I think he was of the age, like, it's not like he was going for a bigger job. At least that's not what I thought, and I think he was like, I want to try to make it work here. We're about to go to the Big 12. I'll get my chance to kind of get back on the national stage and maybe be able to have a little renaissance. But I think he was invested.
I think he underestimated that running a program at UCF like an SEC program. I think he underestimated that wouldn't quite work though, like the way he thought it would. And I think that he kind of fell back into some old habits and maybe got a little kind of annoyed when things weren't going well and the media around UCF starts to question him. How dare you kind of question me? And I think it just kind of snowballed where he started to resent being here a little bit. Those thoughts kind of crept in when he, his plan kind of didn't go as well as he thought it would initially. And I think that kind of, that plan was pretty well set coming in here. And I just think that once it started to not work, because the dynamic is just different here at UCF, that he couldn't quite dig himself out of that hole, and that led to a little bit of resentment. But I think obviously Scottfrost is just such a unique situation because he understands, and he didn't really want to leave here the first time, but he understands that like getting a second chance to coach here in this town and at this school is something that is uniquely so great for him, and it means so much to him. And it's unique for us too, because he's the one coach that truly understands that type of appreciation that we want out of our head football coach. Like, we want that. But we want that more so than Scottfrost being here the first time, and you're like, oh, I hope he doesn't leave us. Like, now we have this. I think the fan base. I hope the fan base has like this mutual good feeling that they know that Scottfrost is giving back to us, because they're like, okay, you went away, you thought that you hesitated when you went away, but you knew you had to do it. But what came to pass was what you were fearing when you left this place, and all of a sudden, by some stroke of God, you've been able to come back here.
This place, I love that you use that.
Yeah,
because he used to say this place.
Yeah, but anyways, it's a very unique situation in college football and coaching careers in general. And I think the fan base, like, I believe fan base, like, for the most part, certainly our age and older really understand and appreciate that. It is a very unique situation, and one that hopefully the best times are ahead there. So
yeah. So for me, when I think about this, right, and I think about Gus Malzahn and the original question, which was basically, do you think that he was as bought in? I think he was, to be honest. I mean, both of these coaches were paid already. They're fine financially. I think Gus Malzahn still cared about UCF. I think you saw that in how he left and being able to swivet that FSU payment. He could have
better than me.
Yeah, he could have totally played that differently. I think he was embarrassed by the end of it because it didn't work. I do think he wanted it to work.
oh yeah, I'd agree with that.
So was he any less bought in than Scottfrost? I don't think so. I think Scottfrost was bought in initially for a different reason than what Gus was. Then you guys had all of that success, and then it was tough leaving that group of guys. I think he's an emotional guy. Then he went to Nebraska. He went to Nebraska, and whatever happened at Nebraska happened at Nebraska. Then he has another opportunity to come back here. And remember, Terry reached out to him before, and he said no. Right? And then he went to the LA Rams and whatever, and then he felt like he was ready to come back and coach. And so now he's back. So I do think he appreciates it more. I think there's less pressure. I don't see as much fire out of him. It's almost like he's cooler or like more demure when it comes to that. But I think Gus was just as bought in here. I think he would have liked to have this work. I think he loved the fact that the boosters didn't push him as much. And if he would have been successful, he would have been loved here. You know what I mean? So I think he was happy, and I think he was invested. I just don't think it worked. So I'm hoping it does for Scott, and we'll see how it works out. But it is interesting to me that there's less fire about it. There's less sense of urgency for me out of him every week to week. I don't know how much of that is him being used to being a head coach and then being burned at Nebraska and trying to keep expectations low or what, but.
I think it's
was just as bought in.
Yeah, I think he's just I think you learn a lot. You learn more and when you fail than when you have a lot of success. I think he understands, and he hinted at it since he's been hired. Like, we're not going to get 2016, 2017 again. Like, if we do, amazing. Not we're going to have a year 1 to year 2. Like, it won't be that easy. It won't even be that lucky. It was a lot of luck. I tell you it all the time. So I think that understanding, he can he's more comfortable in the year 1 issues, as it may come off like you're saying, the demure, and you're just not as fiery. He's a lot longer in the tooth. It's 10 years. I was telling somebody the other day, it was in a couple of months, it was 10 years when he first came. That it feels like it's flown by. But he's got, again, 10 years of experience, so he's going to be a little bit more calm. I don't think the fire's lit at his feet yet to where it's like, all right, it's time to produce. Like right now, we're just kind of working through growing pains. And I think as fans, we watch the game and we're like, crap, we're so close to winning. But realistically, we're so far away from being a winning team because of these little things. It's hard to break these little habits. It's not easy in most places. So I think that's where the demeanor comes from. I think he's like, listen, I just want to get a good culture. I want the guys to buy it. And he talks about it in the presser, the guys didn't quit. They keep fighting. That's what I'm happy about. Obviously you want to win, but that's what he's focused on because he knows that's how you keep guys around. That's going to be, at least this is going to be his formula. That's how he's going to be able to keep some of the guys that might get offered more money to go play XYZ. And they stay because of the culture. They stay because of the guys. They stay because of Orlando, so.
All right. Well, I think we've answered that one. Again, thank you, everyone, for your comments. Thank you for actually, I forgot 2 more. Shout out to Tony791314. I enjoy all of the UCF podcasts out there, but this one is my favorite. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for listening. And E. Dot says content bullets with time codes. All right. We'll keep that going as well. It does take a while for us to do that because we have to go back and listen to the show and do that. But then again, just want to say thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for the support. Thank you for commenting because as you can see, we incorporated in the show for the live show. If you're participating, make sure you participate in the show because you become part of the show. But just thank you all. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and telling all of your friends because the more the merrier. And for those of you, the 5,162 of you that watched our content this month, hit the subscribe button. We don't monetize the show. It doesn't make us any more money, but it is important for us that you continue to do that so other people can find us. So thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and swiv it one more time. We do not have Alan's oxymoronic stat of the week or Josh's sometimes funny fact of the week. Josh is still in Chicago. Or Chirac, as some people call it. He'll be back next. He'll be back next week. Alan will be back next week as well. But let's go ahead and get a quick update on other UCF sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch, and probably Trey too. But that's okay. And there's a lot of good news to talk about this week. So for UCF women's soccer, they are now 8-2-3 on the season. Unfortunately, they tied again. If you notice, it didn't change from last week, except that one on the end. We've got 3 ties this year. It was a 0-0 tie at Cincinnati. We were playing a lot more aggressive than them. We had a lot more shots on goal. They just were playing really defensively, and Trey really doesn't care because he just dipped out. But they were playing. We were playing a lot more aggressively. They were just playing defensively. And they also tied K-State 0-0. So we got to get some goals in the back of the net. Up next, we're traveling to OSU on the 16th at 8 p.m. And following that up at Houston at 2 p.m. on the 19th. Men's soccer are 4-5-1 after a huge, and I can't understate this enough, huge win at number 6 Georgia Southern 3-0. Not at that we played at home, but we beat Georgia Southern, number 6 in the country, 3-0. That's 2 games. They beat South Carolina last week as well. So they beat them convincingly. So again, this team seems to be finding its way. Their next game is at home versus Bradley tomorrow, Tuesday night at 7 p.m. So if you're seeing this later, it will have already passed. And it is senior night, so support the guys if you can. And then they'll be playing versus JMU at home on Saturday at 7 p.m. UCF volleyball is 11-6 after losing to number 11 TCU 1-3, and then following that up with a sweep of West Virginia. So hopefully that's a harbinger of things to come. 3-0, convincingly, 3-0. They're next up. They're at Arizona on Friday at 6 p.m. Last week, we were giving you an update on women's golf tournament during the show. They did end up finishing in first place in a field of 15 in the Illini Invitational. They'll be idle this week, but this was a really star-studded lineup. This wasn't just a rando tournament. We had UCF won against SMU, Auburn. SMU and Auburn both have really good golf programs, always have. Illinois, Indiana, Alabama, Michigan, LSU, Minnesota, Texas Tech, which also typically has Wisconsin and a few other teams. But that was a really good tournament, and they placed really well. UCF men's golf, who were playing, they were 8th at the time that we last spoke, but they finished the tournament at 6th at the Island at West Bay Collegiate, hosted by Florida Gulf Coast. They gained 2 spots, finished middle of the pack, but out of 10 teams, and they will be idle this week as well. And that is everything we've got for a quick update on other UCF sports that Alan and Andrew do not watch, and probably Trey too, which obviously was proven out. All right, that will do it for us this week. We covered a lot. We covered what's going. Oh, go ahead, Ben. Oh yeah, I forgot.
I get my one more thing this week. So it's just
Yes.
the 2 of us right now. But this is a good one more thing. And yeah, I mentioned before the show, Roger, that, and I want to put it on here, that the UCF Hall of Fame banquet is this Friday night, and there's many greats in this Hall of Fame class in 2025, including Mike Sims Walker, Alex Haynes, Cornell Green. Those are three outstanding football players. We had a track and field star, Aurelio Scott, volleyball star from the early 90s in Miriam Mescas Ochoa, and guys that a guy that I came into UCF with. I was a freshman. He was a junior college transfer, and just one of the best basketball players and human beings that I've ever played with. In Dexter Lyons is being inducted into the UCF Hall of Fame this weekend. So a lot of the early 2000s guys, which are the most active, I think, probably of like eras of, from about 2000 to 2008 are probably the most active, like UCF basketball alumni, I think. Maybe I'm a little biased there. But a bunch of us are getting together. We bought a table at this banquet. We're going to be there to, just make sure we're a part of this night, honoring all these great athletes in UCF history, but certainly our teammate Dexter Lyons. Dexter's known for a lot of things. Obviously, his fro, his fro was a big thing at the time, but really his personality, the way he played, was just relentless. I mean, his senior year, the year that we went to the NCAA tournament and won our conference championship in the ASUN, there was our first of two back-to-back ones. But his senior year there, I mean, he was defensive player of the year in the conference. He was first team all conference. He was tournament MVP of the tournament that we won. I don't think I'll forget the night that he had a triple-double, the first triple-double in UCF history. It was at Troy, which is a big, now it's called Troy State. Back then it was called Troy, or I should say it was called Troy State. And now it's called Troy. That was one of our big rivals in the conference. And it was at Troy State. It was in a tough environment. And I just remember, like, me and a couple of guys just kind of like, man, I think that's his like 10th rebound. Maybe that's his 11th rebound. And he's had to have some assists, and we knew he had the points. And it was just like, we were just kind of, as the game was going on, kind of counting in our own head, man, it seems like he's close to a triple double. And I mean, we didn't know that it had never been done before. We kind of found that out after the game, but that was a big moment. And then at FAU, he had a breakaway dunk, and it was like a full extension windmill dunk that actually wound up on SportsCenter. I think it might have been in the top 10, like, number 8 or number 9 or something like that. But like UCF fans nowadays, they don't think, like, UCF's on TV all the time, so they don't think about something like that as being that big of a deal. But like, for us at UCF, who like didn't even get games on TV hardly, even locally in Orlando, like that was just an unbelievable, like, that was an unbelievably cool thing that Dexter was part of the SportsCenter top 10 when he did that at FAU. So, certainly looking forward to celebrating him this weekend and all of the class. I mean, obviously a guy like Mike Sims Walker went on to have a great NFL career. But I just one last guy that I want to call out from this class is Alex Haynes. Alex Haynes was he was a sophomore, or excuse me, he was a junior when I was a freshman coming in at campus at UCF in 2002. He is already well established. He was the big man on campus. He was the big time running back that went on to break all the records by the time his career was done at UCF. He was the man on campus, and I came in as a freshman, and back then meal plan was on the other side of campus, we'd meet in that cafeteria, which is near the rec center. And Alex he didn't have to, but he would, he kind of came up and introduced himself early on in my freshman year. For some reason, he would just want to talk with me and ask me questions, ask me, get to know me, and he allowed me to get to know him. He was just the nicest guy, and I'll never forget that. He's just a good dude, man. He's a good human being, and I'm just so excited that he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, it's well overdue. He's somebody who should be talked about as one of the best UCF football players of all time. And it's really cool that he's being inducted into this class with my teammate, my guy, and Dexter. So I'm excited to go this weekend and celebrate with those guys and celebrate with my old teammates. And it'll be a fun weekend introducing these guys into the Hall of Fame. It's pretty cool.
Yep. We expect pictures and more interviews. All right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Congratulations to everyone who's being inducted. Obviously, that's a huge honor to do that. Crazy when you talk about Troy and all of that stuff. It was only 20 years ago. That shows how far and how fast UCF has moved up in the ranks of college athletics, and it's something that we need to remember too. Right? Not saying that we shouldn't. I always said that wasn't an excuse. We won conference championships everywhere we went. This is the longest stretch that we haven't played in one since moving up to a new conference or at all. So, the expectations are high of the athletics department in football, in basketball, in all the major sports. And we've had some success, but not all of it. We've had won championships in the Big 12, but we need to get the revenue generating sports going as well. Baseball looks like it's competitive. Football right now has some work to do. Basketball, I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't expect Johnny Dawkins to be here next year, so it'll be a rebuild there. Women's basketball, again, who knows? We lost our bigger players. It's not as supported. We lost our two best players from last year to NIL, to the portal. We brought some good players in again this year, but it's going to be, if you don't play together in basketball, it takes a while to get that going. So we'll see what happens this year. But that being said, we're all on the ride together. We'll hope to see you at homecoming. West Virginia is going to be a lot of fun. That's a must win. We appreciate everyone who follows us, conversates with us. Make sure to like, subscribe. Please tell your friends. Go Knights and
charge on.
Charge on, baby. All right. Is that what
we got to fill in this weird little time where we're kind of talking and not really
Josh
talking?
is eating ice